Coming to our mat today, we're going to be working on some foundational floor work, and we will begin in a high full kneel. And from high full kneel, I can stabilize my hip, and from there I can stack the bones and make up my spine, and I can either have tuck toe or flat toe. Either way, I'm standing tall from my hip as if I were standing from my foot. And first I'm going to watch my breath a few times. As usual, seeing how it affects the structure of the torso. Feeling belly, chest, and head. I want to make sure that I have a relaxed sort of mindset going into this. We will be building up a bit, but we want to come in relaxed, and we're going to come in relaxed to first a prone position with hands in a comfortable setup, and I want to activate through the fingertips and activate through the heels of the hands, and first just work articulation through the arms. If the angle is too much on the wrist, then we can back away from it a bit, and that's going to increase the angle here through the wrist when I back away. But I want to think about articulation in the arms, and I can walk the knees a bit closer. It doesn't have to go quite so quickly. But we want to have access to it, both reactively and more deeply. Elbow pits forward, arms internally rotated here. Elbow pits pulling toward the back. Internally rotated here, actually, not externally rotated at the arm, and internally and externally rotated up at the arm here. All right. In and out. Watching the breath too. A little bit longer, and then we'll ease back up into our half kneel. I can lay the foot flat, or I can come in with the toe tuck, and we're going to look at the difference between that while we roll out our fists. If we can't get to full size of this is okay. What I want to do is gently lean in, have a look at the range of the knee. I can set myself up with a bolster or a block as well and use it as a touching target, but then I want to also be able to explore the feet and tuck in the toes. We've got our wrist rolled out now. Coming back in, I'm going to work into a half point on the fingers. Ooh, it's been a while. You'll find tight spots through the hands. We want to stay full through the arm. By that I mean elbow pits facing forward. And think about gently exploring a little bit of strength on a half point with the hand. I'm coming up to that first knuckle. You'll feel a stretch across the palm. And as we build access to the position, we can start to strengthen it. And check out the half point. Going in again. See about holding for a 10 count this time, if you're keeping up. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the knees come down, let the hands come down, and start through scapular expression, retraction here, protraction on the way up. Keeping the arms full and letting the shoulders operate through. The use of the sternum sternum drops, retracted shoulder, protracted shoulder, sternum lifts. And once we get it warmed up, we can start to challenge the strength of it by going back to the knee, keeping a straight body line back to the knee, holding it in different positions, protraction, just protraction, just protraction. I'm checking how far in I can go. If I come up to the plank, I want to flex my quads and tuck my tailbone by clenching my butt. And core, protracted shoulder. And then I want to see about what I can get on my retracted shoulder. Drop retracted shoulder, still activate the core. Rolling them out. And when the wrist needs help, we pop back up, shake out the wrist. In that time, I can work on my knee and ankle, shaking the wrist, rolling the wrist with a fist, exploring different levels of tension in that fist, exploring how the articulation can get up into the arm. The next time we come back out to throw, we'll take one hand high up and try and have a look at it. And from there, we'll thread it through and aim to get the shoulder to the floor. If the torso isn't quite that capable, then we think about the elbow, sliding the elbow across the center line. Perhaps we can get in, perhaps not. Maybe on the next set, maybe on the next rep, or maybe it's already happening. I want to think about opening and squaring my sternum. Don't do too much reaching with the shoulder here. It's about opening the sternum from the stable hip, which is stabilized by the knee. Don't do too much reaching. It's about squaring. One more. Right, hitting and holding position, opposite side. When I'm reaching through, I've got the target of getting shoulder to floor, and this is a nice decompression position. The low back hanging from the hip. But then we put the pressure on when the hand comes up. Try not to reach too much with the shoulder. If the shoulder is starting to hurt, then we would lay our finger on our sternum here. Think about the squaring more than the reach of the arm. This gives us some leverage. Touching the positions. Easy back down. Ease back. Shake out the wrists again. All right, have a look at your knee. Just a couple of them. All right, torso over hip. When I come back up to my kneel, I want to come up to a half kneel. And if we need extra padding on the knee, then we can double up mats and add little extras and so on. But I'm coming up to the half kneel. First, I'm going to activate my torso by elevating and lean forward into it ever so slightly. My torso active over my hip. I'm going to go in several times, looking at this part right here. more challenging angles up in the knee. If I need to scoot the leg out some to get deeper range, I do. If back here is already working, then this is the spot. I maintain activation through my upper torso through retraction and elevation of the scapula. In and out. And then in and hold one, breathing into it. Right, whatever level is gently challenging that hip. And easy back up. Reset. Opposite side. Activate the upper parts of the torso. Lunging in. Right, however low that goes or high that goes is entirely up to what your hip can do. In for a hold. Trying to maintain that torso activity, coming back out. Then the hands going back to the floor. In we go again. If I am using the arm, I want to make sure that it's active, that I'm not disengaging my chest. If I'm using it for extra leverage. If I don't need that extra leverage, if I'm getting good work just by pulling the shoulder back, this is good. I'm pulling a retraction in my top shoulder to square off the hip. Couple more. Threading down, shoulder touch. Up again. Switching sides. Threading through. Up we go. And through. And up. And through. And up. And in and out. One more. In we go, up we go, and hold for a second, having a look. Easy coming down, back into our half kneeling. Keep the one side. Really have a look at the ranges, be they deeper or more shallow. And then when I come back, no matter how low I am, when I come back this time, I'm going to straighten out that leg and have a little bow on it. Rocking in. Bowing in. Rocking in. Taking the bow. Being really strict by using the shoulders to prevent the low back's rounding, coming at the hamstring. Switching them out here in one more. Get another good look at the lunge. And another good look at the bow. And then back in on the other side. In. Bow. Better on the left with the hamstring mobility. You will likely find a difference between left and right side, and if you don't, then bravo. chest. Sometimes I get to going too fast. I want to explore these positions. I remember the knee can be extra padded. Real clarity about connection of hip and spine. One more. Going in, looking at the position, deep in the position. Not leaning on that knee, I don't want to give the wrong impression. Standing tall from the hip. When I come back, maintaining the spine, leading with the chest and not the chin and not the nose and not the forehead. Back up. This time, we're going to go up and work A-frame, just walking around a bit. Walking around the A-frame. Little steps forward and little steps backward. And that's where it starts. The fingers spread and so on. And then start to get really particular about which limbs are moving. And then at any point, I can drop down. Take a break, right? If the wrists say stop, then stop, right? It doesn't make any sense to go in there and do damage. Out of the A-frame, shaking off, setting up kneel, up on the A-frame, right? And we can just walk back and forth. And think about using one side moving and then the other side moving. When I'm going backward, I've got left hand, look, I've got real clarity here, and if you don't, then that is the work, is building clarity of a unilateral crawl pattern. And at any point I can drop down, right? Don't feel like you need to keep going. If something needs to rest, something needs to rest, right? And we can come back, and if we need rest on the wrist, then I can work a similar kind of thing by putting down the elbow. And just alternating the hip and so on, straightening the leg, back up to the A-frame. In we go. All right. See about switching your crawl to contralateral, meaning opposite hand and foot. And yes, your legs might be further away from your arms. All right, it might be out here. This is okay. Oh, what's the mat? And we go. Back to the kneel. Shake out the wrist. This time heading back in and start in. Trying to work an alternation of the half kneel. We can shake out and roll out the wrist. Nice tall posture on the hip. Trying to get more access to going from kneel to half kneel. Start to take it in, and I'm going to reach down. It's kind of like a combination of this one and our half kneel. Heading into the lizard lunge. And I can set this up, and now that I've got this one, it's going to help because the hip is offset. And then I try and get up to this three-pointed position, one hand high. Out we go. In we go. Set up a stabilized shoulder. Straighten the leg. Up it goes. Full breath. And then release it out and back in. Setting up the hand. Full breath, maybe two. One more on this side. Straightening the back leg. Out we go. Opposite side. Setting up the lizard lunge. All right, supported at the bottom. Working this transition. Turning torso, straightening leg support. There's no reason to think we can move from this position if we don't have access to the position itself. In and out, setting up. Twisting side angle pose, they call it in the yoga. I don't know the Sanskrit, but. Up we go. Back to our first side. We're going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to see where I can get with that shoulder. Describing a half circle from my butt all the way up and overhead. Trying to maintain that lunge position, supported through all three of my points. My back foot, my front foot, and my front hand, as it were. Top hand is a mover. Drop the knee, up you go, opposite side. And again, set it up the lunge, butt, and overhead. Does not have to go so fast. Couple more. Drop the knee. Up to half kneel. Back to full kneel. Hands down. Cat and cow. Dropping the hip. Lifting the hip. I want to use the protraction in the shoulder here. I want to use the retraction to drop the sternum and the protraction to lift it. I want to use the pelvic tilt, the anterior tilt, to explore the dropping and lifting of the navel. Easy down to the elbows now. Step back and work up into the elbow plank. Rock forward, pull the heels back, and rock forward and pull the heels back, and rock forward and pull the heels back. In and out. Couple more. We can just be holding the position, but if we can get a little bit of a rock, just putting in a little bit of core exercise at the end, and then pulling back up to a high kneel. Down we go, coming out to a seat. For my seat, I want to work seated leg positioning of pike. I can support myself in the rear, and then I point my toe and curl my toe, keeping a flex in the quads, support to the rear if I need it to keep the hip neutral. Flossing out the back line through the legs, only in the pike today. Both legs together, neutral hip, legs along the floor. Then I want to pull my feet in, and I'm going to shift up and work the tabletop. Couple breaths, getting the hips up. Let the hips come down, back up to the pike. I can maintain the contact with the floor in the back. See about maybe taking some of the pressure off, using more of the musculature to hold the hip where it is. If you can, then the hands come to the front. Alright, all of this is just fine though while we're doing the work. Keeping the hip toward neutral, perhaps even slightly tilted to the front. Then pulling back, lifting the hip. Tabletopping, hands can go wider if we require it to get the hips up. Keep looking around. How can I get the hip a bit higher? Holding your tabletop best you can. It might have to do with the angle in the shoulder. This time I'm going to scoot out and maintain my pike and have a look at that angle in the shoulder. I do it by pulling retraction, adding a little bit and a little bit. This might be way far out, right? It might be right about here. This will be good stuff. Opening the shoulder. Back up, one more go on the pike. This time see if you can get the hands up off of the mat and elevate them, activating the torso just like we did before. And I'm going to hinge in and do a 9x9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm going to hold for a 9. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easy on the way out. Up to the tabletop. Have a look at it. 9 goes. Hips down, hips up. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then a hold. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, easy down there. Go ahead and put in any add-ons that you're into. These foundational, functional positions are the ones that are going to end up giving us a framework to add on. So keep up the good work, and I'll see you soon.